Hey, are we on? I always have to start with that, right? My little microphone over here. Hey, everybody. Oh, 11:11. Leslie here and Zazoo, my superhero self, my higher self, my better self, my partner in crime. No crime, no crime. I didn't say that. It's an expression. It means, you know, somebody that you go on adventures with, somebody who, helps you reach your highest potential. And my nemesis down there, Dee Dee. So, how's everybody? So, today, I didn't get to, because of my schedule and everything, it's messed up because I didn't, because of when my schedule was. So I was sleeping from like afternoon to, and then I had to wait to, so I had to get up and early. It's complicated. Then I had to do my run this morning. And then I thought I was going to have my Sunday breakfast on Monday morning because, I need my waffles and my turkey sausage and that. So I was out of waffles. So I'm like, darn, so I have to have my Sunday breakfast. So I had my Monday breakfast today. I have my Sunday breakfast tomorrow. Anyway, and I ran for like an hour, so that was good. I got my striped socks. Look at, I got these. They're kind of cool. They're like purple and kind of like, I don't know. I got these at where did I get them? Oh, Job Lot. Really cool. And I got my vest. Bringing out the vest. But see, I sparkle. I'm all sparkly. I got this at like the thrift store where I shop. Savers. Very nice. So yeah, it's very November-y out, you know. I've been posting pictures from my place here. It's so pretty. If you just, no matter what's going on in the rest of the world, enjoy the day. Wake up and it's a new energy. Take some time when you wake up to feel into the energy of the day. Step outside, breathe the air, look around. I opened my door and there was a blue jay here in Connecticut. It was like right on my patio. He's like, pshaw, you know, and they're scolding me from the branch up there. That's blue jay energy for you. Anyway, so yeah, and so I didn't get to do my Zazoo report. It's a little late. What is today's Veterans Day? And yeah, 11:11. But I'm going higher, so I'm not talking about any of that obvious stuff. That I'm not lending my energy to anything lower today. Um, we don't have any veterans in my family. The only my dad was in the Air National Guard in the early '60s, but see, the silent generation, my parents and all my aunts and uncles, they didn't. They were kids, during the Second World War, so they were little kids, and so and they were too old for Vietnam. When I was a baby, I was a baby during Vietnam. My generation, and that's the thing with us babies born in the '60s. The only war that we really had was the Gulf. And I was in grad school. It was a thing for a little while, but I just have a very peaceful disposition and mentality. I feel that you know in if you are too much on one side or the other of things in life, then you miss out on the wholeness, which is what God, Source wants to bring us to a point of wholeness, right? So we can see from a higher point of view above the duality, and we can see that they're two sides of the same coin, right? And we need both sides. So, I find lately I'm being diverted here from my what was I talking about? Oh, just going outside and, yeah, living in the moment, right? And that's where all the good stuff is. That's where God is, source, creation. That's right. And so it's only lower emotions that pull us into one side or the other, and both sides do it. I'm not saying any particular sides. I'm saying, there could be, there's two sides of every issue, which is, that's like a Gemini thing. But yeah, so, you would have people, who represent different ideas, different points of view, different, they all have different agendas, let's say, right? There's lots of things. You can talk about the workplace, you can talk about, international relations, about relationships, you know, and real freedom is being able to be in any situation and feel that you know yourself well enough and you have enough faith in your ability, your resilience, and the ability of God, that's, Christ, uh, the Christ light that pours through all of us, right? When we're open to it, you know that source, universe, is going to take care of you, right? And then you can be generous when you come to that point where you know you're taken care of at your very deepest level, right? Then you can be generous and you can freely give from your feeling of I I have everything I need, right? And gratitude plays into that, which is, Thanksgiving season here, right? So practicing, getting up in the morning and practicing gratitude, being thankful for another day, thinking of many things when you sit down to eat a meal. Just thank the universe for it, and say I'm thankful for all the abundance and the plenty that you give to me. And once you start ticking off things that you're thankful for, you'd be surprised how afterwards you feel rich, you feel full, before you've even eaten your if you sit down to a meal and you start complaining to whoever or by yourself and you start complaining, right? It's like somebody's taking money out of your bank account, right? Whatever you put out there, say you're posting on your Facebook page and you post good things to uplift someone. Say, is this something that's going to make somebody happy? Not necessarily happy, because happiness it's just a fleeting thing. You can't be happy all the time. But is this something that's going to uplift someone or make them think? Is this useful? Is this, funny? Like, you know, sort of harmlessly funny, not going to, make fun of anybody. And not that no one's going to be offended. Some people might get triggered by your corny little joke, but that's different from putting something out there that you know is hurtful, right? As opposed to putting out a funny chicken thing. Not everybody's going to like your chickens or your dog meme or whatever. That's not your problem. Okay. This is my little rant for today. Okay. So yeah. The other thing. So I'm getting ready for my Zazoo report, and the internet goes out. Now, our internet provider, they've been, doing work here at my apartment place. I'm like, this whole time it was fine. To this morning, so I get a message on my phone that says, "Oh, we're sorry. We're gonna have outages throughout the day today." Really? So I got my phone. So the way I dealt with it, get my phone out, using my data, using my phone, and then all of a sudden, YouTube pops back up. So I'm like, okay, see, so that, life, nothing is going to be perfect. We're in the third dimension here, folks. There's going to be Wi-Fi outages. There are going to be, my whole childhood was a Wi-Fi outage. I didn't have Wi-Fi. We didn't have Wi-Fi. We didn't even have internet. It was dial-up. when I was in the 90s. It was, half of the 90s at least was dial up. And I don't remember when we got a router. I think it was the 2000s, we finally got a internet connection. But before then, we had to dial up. When I was living at home with my parents, early 90s, when I was in grad school, it was all dial up, man. These kids, they don't know. So I'm going to talk a little bit about technology today, just quickly. There's so much to talk about. So anyway, I took my dad out for I took my dad, I talked about this on my Facebook page. Um, Took him, drove him to his eye doctor last week because he had an eye operation. It came out good. But the next day he couldn't drive. So, and the van didn't go. It went to the surgery place, but it didn't go to the doctor's office where he had to go and get his bandage off and everything. So I drove him. And then when I came back to his house, we went in and he gave me the slide projector, and I put a picture of it on, I did a little reel on it on my Facebook page. But I wanted to show, now this is a project that I've been putting off for a long time. He's got, he had a big box of slides in his closet. And so, okay, kids, for those of you, even younger Gen Xers, I don't know if you all would know about this. You probably just had like print photos. But my parents, I was born in 65. So my parents said, oh, okay, they were all color pictures, most of them. There's a few black and whites. But they had this slide projector, right? And you put the slides in this thing. See, look at this. And this goes into the side of the projector, right? And there's like a little clicker thing. And the slides, see, there's a little slot there. And the slides go from here out this. No, wait, how does it go? It took me a while to figure it out. And they go, and the slide goes through here into the machine, and then the light shines through it onto a screen. So when I was a kid, long story short, my dad would put off, getting the slides developed for a few months. So the Christmas ones you wouldn't see until spring, right? And then he'd start a new roll. My dad was not, so when I was a kid, we'd sit down, oh, we're going to watch the slides. So he'd get them in and then they'd be all upside down. So they would come out on the screen upside down. And I'd be sitting there like, ugh. If kids today can't stand it, if, anything, the slightest, smallest thing goes and they can't get to their apps, they don't have Wi-Fi. All right. We have to sit there and wait for the damn slide to show up, on the wall, or we had a screen, an actual screen he would pull down, and it would be a big deal. We'd get snacks, and there would be 12 slides or whatever, and so that would be, and my dad would be, for crying out loud, and my mother would be like, Ray, you're doing it wrong. Ray, when are you going to get? And then he'd get mad, and it's awful. So look at this thing. This is like a million years. This okay. So anyway, and everything just smelled, and it was in. I had a slide thing that we bought to put some slides through for my parents' 50th anniversary in 2009, and it had like a disc or something, the software that came with it, and I'm like, that's just not going to work. And it was all sticky. I took it out of the box. It was gross. I don't know. Somebody would got it all sticky. I said, I'm getting rid of that. I went on Amazon. I got myself a light pad. So you put the slides on here, plug it in, USB cable. You put your phone. I got a little like clip, like a holder for my cell phone. So I can go and, take pictures. And then there's an app, and you load them right on your laptop, through your phone or through the app or whatever, So, and here's what they look like to give you an idea. Okay, these are the, I don't even know what is this? Who is this? I don't even know who that is. But see, the light would shine through there, and you could sort of see who it is. Somebody in front of our house. I don't know. Oh God, look at that. Oh, it's me and it's me and my friend Michelle. In the summer, I've got a bikini on. I must have been 7 years old. Oh my God. I don't think I've ever seen half of my childhood is in these. There's 8 years of my childhood in these little things. So there's that. Okay, so I got a lot to cover. Oh, jeez, where did I go? All right, so the slide I was show and tell. Okay, the first book of Kings, 32nd Sunday. Um, yeah, Elijah the prophet. Um, so he goes in the city and he sees a widow gathering sticks, the prophet, and he asks her, "Could you get him?" He asked if she could get him a little cup of water, and then he's, maybe some bread, and she's like, "Well, all I have is a little bit of flour and some oil, and that's it. And, my son and I are gonna not have enough." And he said, "Don't worry, you'll have enough. Go make me a cake." And she did that. And then it said she had food for a year. She had bread and oil, flour and oil for uh, so so what this is an illustration of the law of the universe, right? As you give, so shall you reap. She had enough faith to know that if she would give from her lack, her very last bit, so this means if you have enough faith in yourself and in God, right? In source, the universe, when you give out, the universe is going to give you back. It's the law of karma, right? You give from your heart, you will get back more than enough, more than twice, and, multiple times, right? So if people, if you give with your heart to something or someone that if you, like with me, I put a lot of money into my Zazoo Plazz business to pay for my book and everything. And I'm doing this, I'm not getting paid, right? But I get paid in other ways. I'm being taken care of in other ways. So you can't ask always your creative ventures they don't always return from the place where you put them, right? You don't always get money back from the exact same place where you spent it. Most likely you'll get it from somewhere else. And it'll come in sneaky ways where you're looking for your book. I'm like, how many? I can count how many. My book is a bestseller, uh, and it has sold a lot of copies. But if I am on there every day going, oh, I put this many, I paid for this much advertising and I get this much back, and my mother used to do that. She'd say, "Oh, I had so and so over to the beach house, and they never had me back, and they never paid me had me out for." You can't give with an expectation you're going to get exactly as much back, because you got to let go of that, right? And then that's when you get your abundance, right? You get it from somewhere else altogether. But there's more than enough for everybody. It's where you're not free is you're saying, "Oh, I've got to get this much money by this time from this person, and then I can't." And so people can manipulate you if they know, if they push those buttons, right? Sun's in my second house now. Second house ruled by Taurus. It has to do with value, right? The money that we spend on things, what do we want to have in our lives? What do we value? What's worth working for, right? And Uranus is in Taurus right now. So that means Uranus likes to shake things up, right? And improve things. So Uranus is shaking up Taurus, which rules the financial system and food production and all that stuff. A lot of things are going to be getting overhauled. Let's just put that out there. So that's kind of the theme for today. To have faith in the ability of the universe to provide for us. Even, you know, it, you have to give of your heart, from your heart. Psalms: the fatherless and the widow he sustains, but the way of the wicked he thwarts. The Lord secures justice for the oppressed, feeds the hungry, and sets captives free. Now, captives, that doesn't necessarily mean, literal prisoners of war or prisoners or anything. We can be captive of, something, of, greed, of all the lower emotions, right? So being poor, actually, um, you can't interfere with that too much because the soul chooses the experiences that we want to have. So I know, I've had tons of lifetimes. I've been rich, I've been poor, and after a while you get to the point like I can be happy no matter what. No matter how much money is in my bank account, I'll always be content because I'm content with simple things, right? So it's not that you have to push yourself to make more money. What you have to do is be more content with less and purge from your life all the things that material things enslave us, right? Because you have to take care of them. And then the more you have, the less personal time you have to reflect and welcome in, this higher knowledge and this higher love that God wants to bring in through us. Okay, so let me just say, it's running out of time already. Hebrews, Christ lighted. All right, so yeah, so we can choose, what kind of heaven or hell we want to experience. It's our choice. Blessed are the poor in spirit. So don't, in other words, don't seek to be made exalted over other people, right? That's not. Jesus is talking about bewaring of scribes. The teachers, the priests. He's telling his disciples. They're out there with their long robes. Getting seats of honor. Look at me. Bow down to me. Long prayers, but they're taking widows' homes. And so he severely condemned hypocrisy of these priests who appear to be so, good and everything. But what they're doing, he said the rich would put in large sums of money into the treasury, right? But the widow would bring two small coins out of her poverty, which means so much more than someone giving out of their surplus, right? Because she gave from her heart, it required more faith that she would be able to live, right? Because widows, no husband, and maybe some of them had children, right? You think of, widows, people who've, lost their husbands maybe through a war, soldiers or whatever, you know, they, it not so much in the 20th century, but in the old times, they weren't provided for. They were at a, cast off in society because they didn't, have a means of support, So, you know, Jesus was saying, okay, so she will be repaid, this widow, for trusting in God's ability to take care of her, right? Um, so she put her 2 cents in, which is what I do every week in the Zazoo report. Very funny. All right, song of the week. Get with it. Enough. Okay. Ah, there's a song. It starts out doom 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 money. That jingling sound. I love that sound. Pink Floyd, Money, came out in 1973, which is the last year of my slides. I was 7, turned 8 that year. But yeah, so song, yeah, they recorded that in 72 at oh, just okay, at yeah, Abbey Road Studios where the Beatles recorded their stuff. So at the end, you hear Paul McCartney's voice. I never knew that. And there's a big explosion at the end. It's very interesting video. Rock. Up until this point, I guess, Roger Waters wrote the song, and the label was Harvest. Isn't that funny? Because it's harvest time right now. So this is a good song because what Roger Waters, who wrote the song, said, he he said he wrote there's irony here. He was critical of the capitalist system, crass materialism, not the power of money, the hold that money can have over people. Not, he wanted a nice car, he wanted nice things. And the irony is this song made Pink Floyd, brought them from just a cult band to like a really major, mainstream success. It made them, huge stars. So they made a lot of money by making a song that satirized money. So, but because they weren't rich at the time when they did it, they did a song that reflected from their heart how they felt about something that they saw as an evil in society. Not that money itself is neutral. It's just something that we use. It's energy. But when you elevate money to something higher than your soul, than your work and what you're here to do, right? Your your faith, your purity of your soul. When you elevate money, then you become enslaved by it, right? So song, yeah, it's very like doom 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 doom, kind of uneven, kind of bluesy. Um, and the video is awesome. It's like a subliminal thing. There's all these coins and money and ladies in rich fur coats. It's like the 80s, And this was okay. The video, I don't know when the video was made. It must have been on MTV because I remember seeing it. And the 80s were such. The song was written before all the greed of the 80s. So cold and. So, and if you think about, a lot of the wars that have been fought over, this idea of money, yeah, just money in general. How much of human war and suffering has been because of money? And if people could, Roger Waters said that it was his hope that humankind could reach a stage of cooperation and of sharing and not of so much competition, less competitive, and more of a sharing, cooperative thing, and which is, it's a progressive rock song, and that is how I view myself. I don't go in for politics. I don't go in for you know competition. Really, I go in for expressing yourself and making the world a better place, and being creative rather than peace is one thing, but I think that we all have peace in our hearts once we know we're doing what we came here to do. There's a peace that comes from giving, doing the best you can, giving from what you have to give, right? That's all God can, the universe expects from each one of us, and we will be amply rewarded, I believe. So yeah, I mean, I lived through the 80s as a teen and 20 something. And I always, a lot of my stories come from being in situations where I wanted to take a job that I thought was going to help, you know, be of service, of the higher service, which led me to a lot of dubious types of things in order to have my freedom, right? I ended up working with a lot of people, and calling attention to a lot of dubious things that were going on and sort of purifying them en route through them to other things. I'm kind of like a corporate alchemist. What I do is I'm a change artist and a chameleon. I go into places like the Plasmanian devil. And then when I'm done, they're like, what the heck was that? Anyway, well, and in striving toward freedom for myself, I've been on some interesting adventures, and thus the book. Yeah. So okay, so I gotta go. So next, same place, different time. Take care.